Hey everyone, I want to start this video by firstly saying thank you to all of you who support this channel, who watch my videos, whether that be some of the puzzle videos, maybe my analyses, maybe some of my opening videos that I've got on the channel. It is amazing all the support that I've had on this channel over the past few years, and I'm so glad to announce that I've now got over 5,000 subscribers. Never in my wildest dreams would I believe that 5,000 people would actually willingly watch my really boring videos, but clearly there's an audience for it, which is great to see. So I just wanted to keep kind of just saying thank you for supporting all this time, and well, let's just get into the video because that's really all that I'm really quite good at, is maybe just showing you these puzzle videos and going through the solutions. So here we go. Here's a puzzle for you. It is white to move in this position and to checkmate black in only 2 moves. See if you can solve it. Pause the video if you'd like to. Maybe set up on the board, whatever you want to do to try and solve it. Okay, before I go into the solution, I should also remind you, make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to see more content like this. Okay, so when I'm trying to solve these particular checkmate in 2 compositions, it is important to first understand the legal moves that black can play in this position. So at the moment, this black king here has not got any escape squares that it can go to. It's each covered by various pieces in white's disposal, whether that be a king or even a pawn or even his own pieces here. So basically it looks as though we just need to find a check, but that's easier said than done, because in this position, if let's say we throw a check, I don't know, queen to e3, this immediately opens up a problem for us, in that this queen is no longer defending a pawn on f5. So the king just takes here, and we're not going to be able to checkmate in the required 2 moves against any defences. So, something like this, the king runs up to e6, and he's going to be able to escape. So he's not going to be able to get the checkmate in 2 here. So going back, what can black do in this position? Well, at this point, we can start looking at various different moves that white could maybe play, but you begin to see that each of the pieces plays quite an important role, and well, eventually you can narrow down, because there's so few pieces in the white side, you can narrow down the available moves that white could play here. So firstly, we should rule out this pawn here. By the way, you can't play this pawn can't move. So let's just say we move to f6. Seems like one idea. The problem with this move is this pawn had a really important role. It was guarding this e6 square. So after something like f takes on g6, well, it looks pretty good, but it doesn't actually lead anywhere. Even the check like this, for example, the king can just move over to f5, so we're not going to be able to checkmate in 2. And well, the same problem comes with this. In fact, actually, black can just play e6, and also the same as well with after f6. Now the king can run away, and he's got lots of squares that are now available potentially to him. He's got another flight square that he can run off to. So the pawn moves don't work in this position. The same can be said about the king moves. The king is doing an important job here again, because it's guarding this e4 and f5 square. So if let's say you moved it up to g4 firstly, well, it runs into a check. We don't want to do stuff like that, and even if we do a counter check, the king can then run over here. So that can't work. And if you, let's say you go to e4, which looks pretty good, again it runs into another check. And okay, you can throw another check, but there's not going to be a checkmate in 2 here. You just take this pawn, because now the queen is no longer defending f5. And then other moves, I mean, these just don't really make much sense, as well, black can play a multitude of different things. I think maybe just this is probably the best move here, and there's not going to be a check here. I mean, he could try, oh no, so that is checkmate actually. So in actual fact, let me just have a look for a sec. Well, I guess we can go here, and there's not going to be a checkmate. Even if you throw a move like this, the king can just run back up here. So the king moves, they don't work. So we've now already ruled out 2 pieces. Obviously g5 we can also rule out as well, because it can't be moved. So now we move on to the bishop, and I would be honest with you, because I saw that the queen was doing quite an important role in guarding this f5 pawn, I actually thought that maybe the best move here was moving the bishop. But there's a little, I guess what you could kind of call a cool little subtlety in this position, and that's to do with this b5 pawn. So you might just be thinking, what am I talking about? This b5 pawn is doing absolutely nothing in this position. Well, it actually turns out is quite an important defensive piece. So let's just say bishop comes to e7. And this looked like a really good move at first glance because I'm still controlling these two squares. And, well, let's just say, for example, pawn takes here. Well, here you can throw a checkmate. A very nice, you might have seen this pattern before. I guess you can call it an epaulette mate, actually, this one technically, with the two pawns on either side of the black king. And the same as well, if the pawn were to come here, well, now it's no longer guarding the e4 square, so checkmate can be reached with queen to e4 checkmate. Really cool. So I thought that seemed like a really good move. And I was kind of struggling to see, well, what else could black do here? I mean, he can't move his king. And I thought, well, okay, let's just say he does this now. And here's the problem. Because this hasn't happened or this hasn't happened, queen to e3 doesn't work now because there's still a pawn there. So actually the king can just take here, and as you can see, it is not checkmate in 2. Sure, it's going to be, I think, checkmate in, well, that's not checkmate, but it's going to be checkmate pretty quickly here in this position. But it's not going to be checkmate in 2, and it's all to do with this pawn over here. And I just thought this was quite cool about this position. And whatever I tried with this bishop, let's say I just moved it to this square, for example, has a similar idea, then b5 can still be played, and there's no checkmate to be found. Even new checks like this don't work because the queen is still guarding. So we've now hopefully begun to see that all of these moves don't work, and the final piece that we have to consider, and the only piece that actually can do anything, is this queen. But as I say, it's easier said than done. As soon as we move this queen somewhere, let's say we go over here, for example, this pawn drops. So we've got to find something or somewhere where actually I think that's checkmate actually. I mean, so that pawn in that situation, that's not the best move, but actually the king can move over here, sorry. But let's just say, I don't know, for example, queen to d1. Here they can take here on f5, and you're dropping this this really important pawn that, as I say, is guarding this square. So with that in mind, hopefully you've now maybe had a look at some different moves that black can play here, and as soon as you kind of analyze each and every one of them, you can actually begin to see that the solution to this particular puzzle is the move queen to b3, and it might surprise you. Very odd zugzwang move here from black. Firstly, now this limits a lot of the squares that black can go to. So he has got 2 legal king moves, he has got a pawn moves, these 2 pawn moves, and that's it. But even with all of these 4 moves that he's got, it's still going to be checkmate. Now the first thing I should mention, pawn to d4, that stymied some of our plans in some of the earlier solutions, but here now we can do checkmate with e6, the pawn defending the queen. Very nice, that position. Okay, if this happens, well, we've got that epaulette mate that I was looking at. So we've kind of covered those first 2 pawn moves. It passes that test to begin with. But what about the king moves? Well, if the king moves over here, for example, now we have, I guess the beauty of this move is now we can play queen to c3, a kiss of death checkmate with the king, with the queen being guarded by the bishop. And finally, the move that was causing us lots of problems in lots of the other solutions can be met now with the move queen takes here on d5. This is checkmate, a very nice solution to a very nice puzzle. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you found this one interesting. As I say, guys, thank you for all your support. Leave your love in the comments. I'd love to hear what you want to see a bit more on the channel for, or what you want to see in the future. But as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.